Their players, the exuberance and the jubilation of a battle supremely well fought. The bench they go, and John Robertson's goal has brought glory again to Brian Clough to Peter Taylor.
Because there used to be a corridor here. There's just where that went to Clough's office. Yeah. There was a door there, and it's first on the left. And you'd go past like that, and they go, "Young man, come."
Did you ever have to go in there?
Oh, loads of that. Get yourself a drink. And I mean a proper drink. I came to photograph him when advert boards were first being introduced around the ground, and his was the first one in the far corner over there by the Westbridge Fit, and it said Brian Clough Limited. And I had a call on the Friday to say Brian's agreed to have a picture with the board. Can you be here at 10 o'clock? They were playing that day, be here at 10 o'clock Saturday morning. So we got here, had my drink with him in the office. We walked across the pitch, right to that corner, and there was a concrete wall with a sign on it, and he leant against it, and I said, that's not working, Brian, because I knew you could actually ask him to do things, and he would if he said it correctly. I need you behind it, and he went, you want me behind it? And he literally vaulted over it and leant on it like this, so I've got the board underneath, and it said in the mail, Brian Clough Limited, otherwise known as Nottingham Forest. So that was the mail on the next day. It was the 95 series of games that we flew with the team. The team were at the front of the jet, and we were at the back of the jet with the corporates and the press. Larry Lloyd and Darren Fletcher were on that last week. So usually go to the game, come straight back, but there were a couple of games where it literally stayed over after the game. I think when we went to Malmo actually in 95. We flew out on a Sunday, stayed the Monday, and the game was a Tuesday, came straight back, and of course they lost to Malmo 2-1. But I think Ian Wone scored the goal there, which was vital, and then Brian White, who obviously, looking at the chances they had, it was 20 minutes to go, I think, they needed a goal, and they got it. But I remember the Malmo manager saying Forest were far too strong for us. And then on to the next one, which was Auxerre, I think. Nice autumn trip. Lovely sunshine, a bit like today, warm. Then Lyon, and it was cold in Lyon. We thought we were going to go skiing, but we all took a ski gear and it never happened. And then Munich was a 3-day trip. And they lost 2-1, I think 2-1 or 3-1 in Munich, and then got battered here, and that was it. But they were the only team left in Europe, that English team left in that contest that year. And Bayern Munich won it. So that was as far as they got. It was film, of course, so you were at the mercy of the light, so you just take all different speeds of film with you. So certainly this time of the year where you're running on normal speed film, say 400, 800 ISO, then the light would change at half time, so you immediately have to change film and put a faster speed film in, and then towards the end of the game you'd be on floodlights and at the mercy of the floodlights, because some clubs, especially this one, they weren't. You were on the bare minimum. You were shooting with your lens wide open, 500 to 8, but it was constantly changing your film after every 36 shots. But I had a deal with a local agency called MPIX, who would just syndicate my images, because I was sitting where nobody else was sitting. And they had a lad come around, running around, did you get the goal? Just put that film in. Well, I don't know if I got, I think I have, so you have to give them the film, put another one in, then if there's another goal scored, you come back again. But they would process them and syndicate them out to the local press. So it was constantly changing films there, and when it was raining, because if you opened the back of your camera, it was tricky, because if you got the film wet, that gave you problems. So when digital finally arrived, it was like a godsend, no changing films, as you all know, so, and autofocus as well, because all these weren't on autofocus to start when I first started. So I've got negatives going way back to 78 when I first started. So you can imagine some are okay, some not so okay. But the team photographs were my forte to start with. That was the first job I had here when they'd won everything in the 77-78 season. So I've got a trophy it's got about 15 trophies on it. And Brian Clough had won the Manager of the Year, the Bells Manager of the Year, and that was my first meeting with it. All these trophies came out, so I set them all up in front of the main stand, all the benches and chairs, And he came out and I set the team up and he went, "Do you play chess, young man?" And I said, "No." He said, "Everything looks like it." I didn't realise that was his trophy and it was on the other side of the team group. So he went and picked it up and put it where he was standing in front of him and then rearranged it all. But then the team group was I like my symmetrical approach to doing team photographs. So it's one of my favourite ones. It's got everything. I mean, Kenny Burns won, I think it was a Sports Writers Award. Peter Shilton won the Player of the Year. They got the League Championship, the Charity Shield. Tony Woolcott won the Young Player of the Year. League Cup. It's a very impressive array of trophies, and this was to go in a book that Brian Clough had agreed to do the foreword to. So that was my introduction to Brian Clough. Mainly, I had 1 or 2 run-ins with players expecting photographs for nothing, and I just stood my ground, and I think that worked. They paid me eventually. They used to order loads of photographs, like if fans were writing for a picture, a signed photograph. So they'd ask me for like 100 copies. Right, that's £10. I'd given them back then. So I got paid. And yeah, I became good friends with some. Like, Steve Chettle did his wedding as well. He's still a good friend. Pierce, even went on Stuart Pearce's stag weekend, actually. It was quite interesting.
Anything to tell us?
Oh, that's for the next edition. That's for the next edition. Yes. Oh, yes.
So you took all of these?
All of those, yeah. Good. I did Viv's wedding as well. Viv Anderson, he came. I had a studio in town at the time, and he knocked on the door. He said, "Viv, what are you doing?" He said, "Oh, are you busy next Friday?" I said, "You're getting married, aren't you?" He said, "How did you know?" I said, "Because you got a worried look on your face first off." And he said, "Great, it's at Westbridge Food Register Office at 2 o'clock, and can you bring somebody with you?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, you're one of the witnesses, and we need another one." So I took my brother and me. Oh, he said, "Can you pick us up as well?" So I went to his house, picked him and Debbie up, went to the register office, did the photographs there, went back to his house, had a glass of fizz, and I said to Viv, "Can I sell this to the TV?" And he went, "Yeah, of course you can, no problem." Black and white in those days. So I whizzed back to the studio, processed it all, got the picture round to central television, and I suddenly remembered we'd just had Richie's sister Eleanor, so that's 42 years ago. I'd left the baby seat in Viv's house. So I went back to the house, knocked on the door. "John, come in." I said, "Oh, I've left that." And just then the news came on and said, "Forest defender Viv Anderson got married today." Picture and went, "John, I've not told my mum yet. I didn't know you were going to do it that quick." So that was a nice little thing. But still good friend. I met Viv and Tony Woolcott recently, actually, on one of these meet and greet things. And Viv was I was reminding him about that, and he said, "You've got a good memory." Well, last time I was here, we used to have to go in there.
Yeah, our office is in there. Mine and my dad's.
Yeah.
So we'd come in, do the mascot stuff, the warm-ups, and
Yeah.
not even the warm-ups.
No, printer in there to print sponsor stuff. We used to do Man of the Match thing later on, didn't we? And Simon was here. So the Man of the Match, you get a framed picture with Joe Lolly. "Have you done this so quick?" Because Richie would come straight in here and print it, and we got the frame ready to put in, and the match sponsors would present that to him. But that used to be the away dressing room, so the door would be open there, and we could see what was going on. Roy Keane was sat there once when he was Middlesbrough manager. Sat right on the first seat there, and I went, "Hello, Roy." He said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" So I said, "You remember me?" "Of course I do." But then I was summoned by somebody when Viv Anderson was here with Brian Robson. Was that Middlesbrough as well?
Middlesbrough, yeah.
And Viv wants you. So the door was shut, so I knocked on the door. "Viv, come in, John." I said, "There's a picture in this programme." And he said, "Who's that Forest player there? Because I think it's so-and-so." All the team were listening. I said, "No, it's Steve Wigley." "Is it? How do you know that?" I said, "Because I took it, Viv." And all the players, but they obviously had a bet, and he was saying, I forget who he said it was, but he was Oh, and then one quick one, when they're playing Arsenal, they got a mascot, and said, "Oh, we're going in." George Graham says, "You can't come in." Okay. Second, the assistant manager came. I said, "Any chance of coming in and doing the match?" "Yeah, come in." So I walked in there, and George Graham was sitting, and he hit Wolf with a kill, with lots good kill. And I got round very quickly, actually, with the mascot, and came back out again. So normally there was never an issue, but I remember that one with George Graham. Now here's another story for you. I forget who Forest were playing. It was when Stuart Pearce was in his prime. So I was sitting very close to the 6-yard line, obviously just off the pitch, and he came belting down here, cut in, crossed the ball and knocked me off, fell on top of me, knocked me over, and he just went, "Oh, Johnny, okay." And his wife was up in the stand, and the woman with her said, "What's Stuart doing with that photographer?" "It's only John, it's all right." But he literally wiped me out. I don't know whether, I can't remember whether they scored or not. But, very close to the action just there, of course. So didn't even have to wear bibs in those days. Obviously had to get a pass to come in, but the freedom, I don't know about wandering about so much, but you don't, I see all people sitting on TV with phones these days. I mean, they're like that across the river. As soon as there's a goal scored, if they're sitting, they run across in front with the phone. Yeah, so it was either just there, or then it evolved later on with me sitting by those seats just there, by the tunnel, or in front of A block. Then Richie would sit the other side.
Yeah.
Then if I got a shot, I'd have to run around with my card out. That's obviously digital with. Right. Yeah. I've never been to Austria, so I flew with the team, but it was March, I think. So I got a suitcase with all my ski gear in, which the players thought was hilarious. We walked across the tarmac at East Midlands to get on. They'd just got a day bag. And I was, "What on earth have you got in there?" "My ski gear." So got on the plane, coming into land at Graz, or wherever we landed. I was very disappointed. No snow, just green fields everywhere. So we went to the hotel. Again, it was a 2-night stay, and Brian Clough's birthday was while we were there. But they were staying at this spa hotel somewhere miles away. All the press guys were going to go out to the spa with a cake for Brian on a minibus. And I said, "Don't wake me up because I'm not interested." So I woke up, "Oh, I ought to go." I just missed the minibus. So I said to the reception, "How much is a taxi to "Oh yeah, no, it won't cost you much." So I got in this taxi. It took about an hour to get there. I remember sitting at this middle of nowhere at a level crossing, no houses, nothing, for ages till the barrier came up. So we got to the hotel, and there's this cake, and Brian said, "Have you got a car, young man?" I said, "No, I've come by taxi." And he went, "By taxi? You must be loaded." I said, "I was, I'm not now. It cost me a lot of money." I came back with the team, all the journalists on their minibus, and that was the night of the game. And the temperature dropped, like bang. But I got all my ski gear on, so I was okay. But the Trevor Bartlett from the Evening Post was there, like he was here in May. He just got a Mac on, and I got everything on. I kept him alive with a duty-free whiskey I bought him to play. So this is first off, which is obviously at that end. So that's a rare Ian Wone header. So, and Steve Stone, good friend of mine. So that's Steve Stone trying one from distance at that end. I had to put that one in because this is Steve Stone. He clattered both. He got 2 for 1 there, and the next shot he's getting a yellow card. Wasn't renowned for his tackling ability as much, Steve Stone. And then Lars Bohinen, who was revelation here, Norwegian lad. But he played in the team. I remember him went down to White Hart Lane when Forest beat Spurs 4-1. That was the season they came 3rd. And he was a brilliant goal. He was on TV recently, chipped it from about 25 yards into. I think Frank Clark either went to the US or were playing in the US for Holland in the World Cup and thought you'd fit in, and he did. He was really good, very good player. So that's the end of the game. Brian Roy again with that's Des Little, Boheen again, and Jason Lee again. So the delight. So, but that one of the emotion is the best one, I think. There, that for me is the. In fact, bit grainy in those days, of course. They're not bad. I don't think these have seen the light of day since for 30 years. So they've been in an envelope. So, I've had to scan all the negatives. So, but Yeah. Because I was a club photographer, I got close access to the lineup when Lady Diana came out with Charles, and I'm this close actually. And Clough got a rosette on that said "the world's greatest grandpa." So you're Lady Diana, and you go. No, point. She said, "Is that true?" "Yes, beauty," he said. Right. So that picture, I've got Stuart Pearce standing next to Clough, then Charles is down there somewhere. So I had a call on the day after the final from the Sun, or the News or whatever. We're doing this. Brian Clough's done a centre page interview with us about the Cup final and Diana, and we want your picture of him talking to Diana. I said, well, there were 6 other photographers there. No, that's the one they want. Okay. Well, this was pre-digital, so it was a negative. So this is weeks later. And I'd sold quite a few of that to the shop. Could we find a negative? So the local agency, MPIC, said, we'll need it pretty quick. I said, what's the cut-off time? I said, 5 o'clock. We found it. So they came and fetched the strip of film, and I said to the lad that worked for me, I bet they'll use it in black and white, and it'll be that big, it'll get £50 for it. Well, it was that big, but I got £600 for it because he got a big budget for Brian Clough. So that was in the middle. Why we lost the FA Cup? Because I was distracted by Lady Diana. Well, yeah. So that was that's one of my favourite ones. It's always had a good atmosphere, but it just seems to be gone from strength to strength here, doesn't it, the atmosphere? Everybody commentates on the TV about the atmosphere and the crowd. And it makes a big difference, I think. I remember when Pearce was here, they were struggling when Pearce was the manager. On one game, the crowd really got behind him and the team, and they won. They just scraped through. And I remember him standing there, and he went right like this to everybody. You did that for us. And the players can hear it, and it gives them a buzz, doesn't it? So it's very important, crowd behaviour, not moaning when something's going wrong, which is difficult, I suppose. Well, I was interviewed for the BBC some years ago, and Richie looking at all the European stuff and saying, I can't ever see me doing this, going into Europe. I'm very envious and proud of what he's done, gone around Europe, and now he's going to be doing it. Isn't he? So yeah, I'm very pleased for him. Having grown up as a little boy, sitting on Stuart Pearce's knee and meeting the players, and so he's gone full circle, hasn't he, really? So no, yeah, very proud of him. Yeah, quality's fantastic. I don't know where he learnt all these skills from, so it's.
Yeah, of course. We were in your studio in town that time. It was the first time I'd been in a dark room to try and develop negatives. And I just opened all the boxes of paper with the lights on. And obviously, as soon as you open that in light, it ruins all the paper. So I think that was like, I don't think you cut out for a dark room. And then obviously, digital happened. So.
Stopped his pocket money for that, did he?
Now it's just point and click, isn't it?
But we picture of Richie in the Wembley dressing room, actually. So he's, as a child, one of the, was it the Little Woods Cup or something? And I was in there with the team, and I just turned to Liam O'Kane and I said, can we get my lad in? So Richie's waiting, it's the old Wembley of course, waiting at the end of the tunnel. We used to drive the team coach in there. So Richie's waiting with my wife and his sister, and I said, you can come in, Richie. So I picked him up, they got a ski jacket on. So we got into the dressing room, and Clough said to him, do you know what a hug is, young man? And there's a picture of him hugging Richie, but then Richie took his ski jacket off. He got a full forest kit on underneath with ships. It said Shipsons on it, didn't it? So that was a nice one. He said, shall we do a picture with my son and your son? I said, yeah, that's great. He said, well, our Nigel's on the bus now. Liam, go and get Noam and fetch him off the coach. Yeah. So the picture of Richie sat with Nigel Clough one side and Brian Clough the other side.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I haven't practiced any of that.
It's almost as if you know what you're talking about.
I didn't practice that.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yes, said you were talking.